Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have the next video for you in the Japanese line. This is the Tier VIII High Row Type 1. Now we've already looked at the Tier 7, and the 105mm gun on this tank is the same as that in Tier 7, so won't go into details of that here, but if you want to run that gun on this tank, have a look at that video. It's in the Japanese line and you'll see it here on channel. As always, we're going to have a look at the tech spec of this tank, first Tier 8 tank destroyer, and we'll use blitzhanger.com. Now this is also another video in the code word giveaway. We're giving away premium tank. All you have to do is collect 3 code words which are hidden in the videos. There was one in the Tier 7 video. There's one here, this is the second one of 3. Collect all 3, write them down and email them to me. That's all you have to do, is email these 3 code words to me and you'll be entered into a draw, the winner will be drawn out randomly, and the winner then can choose any premium tank that's on sale in the store on April the 24th. As long as it's for sale for cash or gold, you can have it, and that's the email address there, armouredpants@gmail.com. So entering is as simple as could be. And in the March giveaway, we gave away an AMX 30 first type prototype and a Tier 9 medium and a smasher. Now let's have a look at this tank. In terms of loadout, I would run white rice. It maximizes the view range and the reload. And you know, this tank, as we said, has 2 guns, 105mm, which is the same as the Tier 7, and this has an upgraded 120mm gun. So we're going to look at that mainly because as we said, the 105mm gun we did extensively in the previous review. Now it says the top gun does less damage per minute, but that's not actually true, because that's theoretical damage versus actual damage. Theoretical damage simply takes the damage per shell multiplied by the number of shells it fires in a minute, and that's your calculation, but that assumes all shells pen, and as we know, that's not the case. And if you're up tiered against Tier 9s, etc., or against big heavies, you're going to get bounces. Therefore, the actual DPM is better on a 120mm gun. Now with that gun you get 248mm of pen with AP, or if you use calibrated shells that goes up to 260mm. So you can use gun rammer or calibrated shells, and we'll look at the difference in pen numbers across both of those equipment loadouts. You get 297mm of pen, which are Pramo, which is an enhanced AP round, not APCR but very similar characteristics, and that goes up to 312 if you run calibrated shells. And you get 60 and 66mm of pen on HE respectively, depending on whether you run gun rammer or calibrated shells. Reload time is 8.59 seconds with gun rammer. It goes up to 9.24 seconds with calibrated shells. I personally prefer gun rammer. I like to fire more often than not, but it depends on your game play and game style. You get 8 degrees of gun depression. That's a 2 degree less than the previous tank. 15 degrees of elevation, so it has excellent gun alignment, but not quite as good as the previous Tier 7, so bear that in mind. There's a bit of degradation in the gun elevation. Like the previous tank, it does 45 kilometers per hour in a straight line, 15 in reverse. Like the previous tank, it also has good power to weight ratio, so it accelerates quickly, making it an agile and mobile TD. This TD can get around the map very, very well, and you'll see that when we look at the gameplay. And as we discussed before, power to weight ratio is the best indicator of a tank's mobility and agility, far more so than top speed, because top speed is not good if it takes you a long time to get there, right? This tank also has good traverse. It's a good brawler, a surprisingly good brawler. It will surprise a lot of medium tanks, etc., with that traverse, with that rate of fire, etc., when you get into a brawl. Camo numbers are amazing. If you take something with a really high view range like 306 meters, it needs to get within 168.8 meters to spot you. It's amazing. So if you take something like an RU-251 with 304 meters view range, he needs to get within 165 meters of you to spot you. It's really, really amazing, right? That means that you're going to see him 60 to 70 meters before he sees you. That's really fantastic. To get those numbers, of course, you need to run camo net. So I would select that, which you should be selecting for TDs anyway. And of course, when you blow your camo numbers, you move out of sight, and then your camo resets 11 seconds. Count it out, 1 1000, 2 1000. Your camo's reset, and again you have that fantastic concealment numbers and you can pop out again unseen and reap some damage. In terms of the gun system on this tank, the dispersion is pretty good. It's not as good as the previous tank, but it's very good. It's 0.293 with refined gun. You should be running refined gun on a tank destroyer. Dispersion, as we discussed before on channel, is actually better described as maximum deviation. It's the maximum amount that you can deviate from your target at 100 meters. So in that case, it's 29.3 centimeters, which is very good. Muzzle velocity, if you use supercharge, which you should, again as on the TD, is 1235 meters per second, and it's the same for all shells, which means shell management is easier. In the previous tank, the Pramo had a faster muzzle velocity. In this tank, on the top gun, all of the shells fire the same velocity, so you don't have to worry about deviations in your shell muzzle velocity when you're cycling through your shell type, so it makes shell management and shot selection a bit easier. Looking at that tank front on there, you just see that the armor profile in this is quite amazing. It's going to bounce shots front on, you can side scrape in it as well. The armor profile is really good. Like the previous tank, of course, it's vulnerable at the sides and back, but the front of the armor is excellent. In this game, I'm running a 105mm gun, the lower gun, just so you can have a look at it. Get a sniper tanker badge in it, so obviously the gun is good. So I just wanted to show you two games, one with the smaller gun, one with the bigger gun, so you can have a look at the different characteristics. You have the same gun as you have in Tier 7, but you have a faster reload because you are a higher tier, so you've got a 6-second reload if you run gun rammer on this tank with a 105mm gun. And while a 105mm gun is not so big, it's not a small gun either, so you'll see here that you can pen quite well with it. But the problem, of course, you face is when you're front on against heavies or up tiered against big tier 9 heavies like the ST1, you are going to find an E75, because you're going to find it difficult to pen them front on, or you're going to have to spend longer time on target, which you don't want to do, obviously. But in a game like this, where you are top tier, the 105mm gun is quite effective. You can see here, have a look at that again. I'm going to slow it down, just look at this. The shot there, see, that is the additional muzzle velocity and the lower dispersion from the refined gun in action. We didn't have the aiming arc completely in line with the Pantera, but nonetheless able to smash him. And that is the difference when you use refined gun and when you minimize the dispersion and maximize the muzzle velocity. Again, look at this shot. That just misses. Pantera just pulls out away, but I'm able to bounce 2 shots on him when I'm on target, which is really good. First bounce there, second bounce coming right up here. Slow it down so you can have a look at it. I'm angling a bit and bam, straight off the mantlet. And you know, just not giving him anything to aim at, moving around, creating those angles, using that 8 degrees of gun depression I have as well. And this Pantera is not a happy camper. He gets smashed again here. You see there, small target, able to smash him in. Takes another shot at me, bounces again, gets hit again, and then he decides, listen, I've had enough of this crap, I'm out of here. So he decides to move off. I'm not going to push up on him now, but actually one of my allies comes around and takes him out. His peer in the other Pantera moves in for an easy kill. Now, again, you see how the rapid firing gun there, 6-second reload, is really effective. Here we look on distance. When you're not front on against the heavy with a 105mm gun, it will pen. It's a decent gun. Muzzle velocity is decent. Shells are traveling very quickly across that wide open space there in the dunes. Another shot into T-37. That fast reload, I've dropped him again. Another shot. Just have a look at that. See how good the gun is on this. Straight into him there, right under the tracks into the bottom of the hull of the tank. And now just gonna let you have a look at this shot here, because this is a difficult shot. It's a small target aiming at the unarmored part, small section on the turret of the T-34. The T-34, of course, is a classic hull down tank, very, very strong turret. But look at this, I have a needle, no problem to the gun system on this tank, and I get a kill. So a good example of the gun system in this tank in action. And you can see there that the 105mm gun, when not required front on against big heavies, is very effective. Good game there, we cleared them off pretty well, and a good example of that tank in playing a 105mm gun. And it delivers the sniper tanker badge, and as we discussed before on channel, getting sniper tanker badges when you're in a TD, getting master gunner badges, they're really the kind of badges that you want to go after when you're in a TD. You know, mastery badges of course are great, but if you're in a TD, sniper tanker, master gunner, they're sort of the badges that you want to get, because that proves that you're being Confederate is another, that proves that you're being an effective TD player, that you are doing your role. We've discussed before on channel here many times that each tank has a role to play. Each tank has a symbiotic relationship between the other tank types. You have a role to play as they have a role to play. So perfect example is light tank should spot BRIs, and then a sniper tanker should be in a position to utilize their work and do some damage on the enemy. And if you're getting sniper tanker badges, it proves that you are doing your role well, and you saw that tank delivered that badge pretty well there. It's game 2. Now we have the 120mm gun loaded up. It's Supremacy. It's at Dead Rail. And this is a very, very tight game. It's a very tight game, I have to say. It was also, you know, I talk about, you know, really enjoying games on the previous Tier VII SPG. I lost the game, but I really, really enjoyed it, right? At this game, I have to say, I felt a bit frustrating, even though in the end we win, and I played very well and kind of carried the team a bit. It was very frustrating because, I'll tell you why. At the end of this game, I'm kind of pinned down, and I'm asking my allies to do simple things like capture B, and they just absolutely don't listen whatsoever. And then I have to do everything myself, and we could have easily lost this game. And here's the thing, right? I understand that they're inexperienced players, and I don't. Nobody's born knowing how to play anything, right? No, and this is a very complicated game, right? For sure. But what I don't understand is you can read, right? And if somebody is asking you to do something, it's as simple. All you have to do is just do what they're asking to do, and you're being a good team player. So you're not. I don't expect them to know themselves, but if somebody is telling you to do something and you're reading their messages, then you know there's no excuse for not doing it and not contributing to helping your team. And you know, if you're an inexperienced player, one of the things I would say to you is, you know, watch out for what the more experienced players are saying. You know, look at the game chat. The game is about communicating. You win or lose as a team. And if an experienced player is telling you to do something or giving advice or calling the game at the start saying, let's go C, let's go A, you know, you should read what they're saying and take heed of it, right? That's how you learn. That's how you win more games. If you just ignore it, well, then you're never going to learn, right? So, and we'll see this in action in a few minutes. Now, I want to show you a couple of things here. I've been asked before if I could describe the difference between a tracking shot and a deflection shot. So I'm going to show you here. That was a deflection shot we just saw here a second ago, but I'm going to slow it down. There's a deflection shot coming up here on the Lycan. Now, deflection shooting is basically where you fire in front of where the target is, so that you shell arrives where the target moves into. So basically, you're not firing at the target itself, you're firing into the space that the target will be in when the shell arrives, right? You can see here, I'm firing slightly in front of the Lycan, and then it smashes him as he goes by. So that's deflection shot. Tracking shot, I'm going to show you now. Tracking shot is simpler. A tracking shot is where you track the enemy tank when it's moving, even though you are not reloaded and can't fire at them, but you're tracking so that you're pre-aimed, and then when you have the shell reloaded, then you don't have to aim, you can just hit the fire button and you get your damage, and in this case the kill. So that's a tracking shot. They're the difference between it. So in tracking shot, you're on target for the whole duration of the time. A deflection shot, you fire in front of the target. that can be quite far in front or slightly in front. It depends on the speed of the target and how far away they are. You need to judge that yourself. That's where you need to know the muzzle velocity of the shell you're firing. And then you fire slightly in front, as I did there. So I was like sort of firing at the mantlet of the lichen, and then when he arrived into this space, the shell hit him in the center mass. So they're the difference between those two shots, and I hope that answers the questions that a couple of you asked me after watching one of the tutorials. Now, here's where comes the frustrating part. So the Reds have now captured A and B. They have now base advantage, and they're going to soon have a points advantage. I'm kind of penned in here because I have them on both sides of me, and you see I'm going to take some shots now in a second. So basically, I'm asking my allies. It's 3v3, right? This game is kind of pretty. It's you know, we have an advantage, I think, in hit points, but it's going to come down to the wire. And you can see now I have shots 3 different directions. Can't angle in 3 different places at once. If I turn to the side, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to get hit. And I know, I don't mean to be this in any way arrogant or anything, but I know, having looked at the other players, that if I get taken out, we're going to lose this game. So I'm asking the guys to go and cap B, and they're just ignoring me. So I have to go and cap B myself. I'm in a TD, I'm a support vehicle. I'm going outside onto the Reds, showing the vulnerable part of my tank. I've only got 700 hit points left, so basically I'm 2 shots. And instead of these guys going down and taking B, they just go down, and one of them goes down and dies. Luckily I got bounced there. I take my time, keep my cool, and take him out. And now we're in a better position. Now I'm capping B, and we are down to 2v1 situation. So now I'm much more comfortable. But up until this point, I was quite frustrated in this game because we had a position where we could easily have won the game, and instead these guys pushed it right down to the wire. And you can see here, looking at the points, this went really right down to the wire. And I also have to go and cap A now, because I have no confidence whatsoever that my ally is going to be able to take out that other red. So I have to cap A, and I'm going to see if I can maybe take out the red if he pops out. But you can see, look at the HP of my ally. There's no way that he would be able to take him out myself. So, and you know, he could have easily capped A, but he decided not to. So really, he could, my 2 allies contributed nothing really to helping me. So, and as I said, I don't expect everybody to know exactly what to do in given situations, but the least you can do is read and listen to your allies. And you know, I don't think that's an unreasonable request. You can see there, big carry from me, 3.5k damage. And you can see that my allies left at the end were kind of useless. As I said, they're all different types of players, and everybody is allowed to play Blitz, and there are many players of different skill levels, and I welcome them all. And I just tried to help them all. Sniper tanker badge again there in that game with the 120 gun, by the way, which is again showing that this tank is really good with the big gun too. But you know, there's no excuse for not listening and not trying to help your team. That's just being stupid, right? So, but lesson learned. Here ends the lesson. Sniper tanker, high caliber badge delivered. So, and they're the kind of badges that you want to get, as I said, along with Confederate, Master Gunner, etc. when you are in a TD. So let's have a recap on this really good, this in fact excellent TD. It's a super TD. It's really great. It has all the characteristics of the tank previous to it. The Tier 7. Good DPM, good rate of fire, nice alpha rolls as you saw there, particularly when you've got the 120mm big alpha rolls. It's agile and mobile for a TD, gets around the map. You saw there, when I needed to move to B, it can shift. When I need to move to A, it got me there. 120mm gun is great. It has a super gun system, as you saw there, and reload, everything about it. Muzzle velocity, which is 1, 2, 3, 5 for all shells. If you use supercharge, is really good. Dispersion is really good. 8 degrees gun depression is a bit of a come down from the previous tank, but nonetheless it gives you good gun alignment. Low dispersion, that is the maximum deviation, is great, gives better gun handling than most TDs at its tier. And that frontal armour as well is just poof, brilliant. I would run supercharged, refined gun and camo net to max out the tank's characteristics, make it an effective TD. Great Traverse, surprisingly good brawlers, we said, because of that armour as well. That frontal armour is also just amazing. Really, really good, and this is an all-round excellent TD that you will enjoy playing, and plays very similar to the tank before it. So therefore, if you're good and enjoyed the SPG before it, Cheeto SPG, you're going to really enjoy this. And indeed, as you will all the tanks, Tier 9, Tier 10, which we'll be reviewing too, are also excellent. Music was Vivaldi's Winter, which I thought was really good because we're on a winter map there at Dead Rail. And before that we had Saint-Cyr, Danse Macabre, Camille Saint-Cyr. So 2 masterpieces for this masterpiece of a Japanese TD. So I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. I guess all that remains for me to say is cheers, Mush. Thanks for watching. Keep your masks on and keep your pants off.